how to make a basic sentence into a yes-no question or an information question. I'm going to show you the yes-no question first, and then we're going to change it into an information question. What's a yes-no question? It's a question that answers yes or no. What is an information question? It's a question that gives information. So let's have a look. Here are some basic uh, sentences. And for this purpose, instead of calling these objects like I did in a previous video, they're not always objects. Sometimes they can be adjectives, sometimes they can be other things. So for this reason, I'm just calling it a complement. And a complement just means it's the rest of the sentence or the rest of the question. These are affirmative sentences. I have eyeglasses. We study English. Whoops. Johanna loves cats. Now, why did I go whoops? Is because it did not conjugate. Johanna is a he, she, or it. In this case, a she. So the verb in present simple requires an S. We're going to get to that in a moment. They want to work. So what do we do to make this into a yes-no question? We have to add an auxiliary. And the auxiliary is a word such as did, does, do, will, something like that. Now, I'm going to change that into a question simply by adding either the word do or does. Now, if this is the start of the question, be sure that you use a capital letter to make sure it is the start of the question. And if it is a question, don't forget you have to add the question mark at the end. All right, so this do or does has to conjugate with the subject I. Which one works? Do is correct. So do I have eyeglasses? Now it becomes a question. Do we study English? Again, it is now a question. Now, do Johanna loves cats? Do does not conjugate correctly with Johanna, so we're going to have to use does. Does Johanna loves cats? Oops, we have two S's here. We can't have two S's that conjugate with Johanna. Does shows that it goes with a he, she, or it. Therefore, this verb does not have S. In fact, any of these verbs that go with do or does now become infinitive. You do not touch them. After an auxiliary, the verb that follows, you never conjugate. It becomes an infinitive. So does Johanna love cats? That's a correct question. They want to work. So I would have to use do. Don't forget, these capitals change to lowercase because now we're starting them into questions. So in that case, this would be do they want to work? Capital letter here, no capital letter here, and don't forget the question mark to make it a question. In order to make an information question, it's really, really easy. You just need to add, I'm going to move these over, question word. And a question word would be words such as who, when, where, why, what, how. And there are other ones such as how much, how many, and so forth. But it's really easy. Can you see what I did? I left everything exactly as a yes/no question. And to make an information question, you only need to add the question word. And in adding the question word, it becomes an information question. You have to follow this formula. So, of course, not all question words make sense when you add them, but it is the formula that works. So let me give you some examples. And don't forget the question mark right here. So for example, when do I have eyeglasses could work. Why do I have eyeglasses? And that becomes a information question. So why do I have eyeglasses? Because I need to be able to read. So that gives you information rather than just answering yes or no. Here, when do we study English? Where do we study English? Why do we study English? How do we study English? Those are all really good information questions. Does Johanna love cats? Add a question word. Why does Johanna love cats? How does Johanna love cats? Those are information questions. And let's take a look at this one as our last one. Do they want to work? We can just add a question word such as when do they want to work? Where do they want to work? Why do they want to work? How do they want to work? And those are great information questions. So you can see how easy it is to change a yes/no question into an information question just by adding the question word. Now, there is another type of yes/no question, and those questions use the verb be. So I'm just going to move all of these out, and we're going to look at some sentences that use the verb be. You are in class. I am hungry. Robert is tall. So those use the verb be. It's really easy to change them into yes/no questions. Same formula. You have an auxiliary, but what happens is we're going to take out the verb and you're going to see what happens. The verb be now becomes the auxiliary and it starts the question. So you're just flipping it. And now this has a different role. Instead of the verb be, it is the verb be, but the role is now an auxiliary to start a yes/no question. So, are you in class? Question. Am I hungry? Is Robert tall? You have just created yes/no questions by changing the verb be, moving the place here. So the verb be was here. You're moving it here, and now the role of that verb is an auxiliary. Now, what we can do is we can make we can make information questions by adding a question word like we did before. So here are the question words. And you see, I didn't touch this at all. It has stayed the same. You see how they are still yes/no questions? Now we're going to make them into information questions. And we can use, obviously, not all the words, but some of the words that will be logical to make a question. So, when are you in class? Why are you in class? When am I hungry? How am I hungry? Why is Robert tall? So, you have just made yes/no questions and information questions using the verb be.